Minute Hacks podcast with your hosts with the most, Tony and Lavelle, every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock That He. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. 2 Minute Hacks podcast. Top of the morning to you, my good people. Happy, what's the day?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. It's
Okay.
a day in the neighborhood, man. It's your host with the most, Tony Mays, Lavelle Salt. What it do, my guy?
Man, on top of the ground.
And what? The ground ain't on top of us.
Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right
Nothing.
now, you can save £50 per person.
You hear me? £50 per person. I want to give a shout out, man. I'll start this joint out by giving a shout out, man, to Misfits Tattoo Studio 2.0. They had a soft opening yesterday. I imagine, Lavelle, you probably need to be there when they had that grand opening. You be there playing some music or something. You know what I'm saying?
Did he set a date?
Not for the grand opening. Yeah, he just had a soft opening yesterday, and this is kind of what it looked like. I mean, like literally a minute after the door opened. They were lined up outside. So shout out, man. Shout out to Misfits Tattoo Studio 2.0, man, on their soft opening yesterday. He's also doing Halloween kids candy giveaway, whatever on Halloween. He's doing it from 4 to 8. I think 4 to 8. He's gonna have like face painting, snow cones, candy giving away, doing stuff for the kids from 4 to 8 at 1906 Madison Avenue. So if you got kids and you want to go by there for that, make sure you take them by there. Good morning, ING. Love the notification of 2 men that has congratulations. Awesome.
What does she mean by notification?
Yeah, it sends you a notification on YouTube every time we go live.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I'm telling a lot of people too to subscribe for the live. Because subscribe to the page because it'll let you know when we go live.
Yeah.
It gives you a notification. Yeah. So in other news, yesterday there was a wreck on the highway in Mississippi, and a truck full of aggressive monkeys with hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID-19 that overturned in Mississippi. That's to add to all the other mess. Now, I think it was a total of 6 monkeys, and they took down 5 of them, and they said one was still out. I don't know if they caught that one yet, but I know as of yesterday, they were still looking for the one, and they was telling people not to approach the monkey because he's dangerous. I guess so. Hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID-19. Why would the monkeys have all of that? Anyway, that's another story for another day. Also, in news, since Trump has taken office, These are all of the businesses who have laid off people due to um, tariffs and all of this other stuff that's going on. That's causing business, and this is just the big businesses. We ain't talking about the mom and pop and the little small businesses that is impacted, like the farmers and all that stuff. We ain't talking about none of them. We just talking about the big business. 30,000, 25, 15, Meta, 3,600, 1,800, 12. These are people's lives that are being destroyed. So y'all keep on trying to put them back in office for a third term if you want to. I ain't going. And lastly, before we jump into our topic today,
hope, one tent at a time. Every day in America, more than 770,000 people are without a place to call home. Here in Memphis, over 1,200 neighbors, families, children, and veterans face the same struggle each night. That's why Tony Mays and Lavelle Salter of the 2 Minute Hats podcast invite you to their second annual tent drive for the homeless. Saturday, November 22nd, 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Morris Park, 747 Poplar Avenue. 38105. We're collecting tents, blankets, sleeping bags, and warm gear to help our brothers and sisters without shelter this winter. Music powered by DJ One Love Entertainment, sponsored by Lake Grove MB Church, Weaver Road, and New Sardis MB Church Men's Ministry. Together we can make a difference. One donation, one heartbeat, one act of love at a time. For more information, contact Tony or Lavelle at 901-4283, 822, or 90184-82758.
Also, I want to add to that, Miss Colette Ladd is also partnering with us of Diamond Delights, who's going to be providing snacks and cookies and desserts and stuff for our homeless people as well. So shout out to Miss Colette Ladd and Diamond Delights, who is also partnering with us on that particular event. And my last thing, my last thing is on, you guys asked for this, on November the 8th, Saturday, November the 8th, from 12 to 2 at 4941 Weaver Road at my home church. I've already talked to my pastor and got this approved. We're going to have a flyer coming out soon where we can actually advertise. But you guys asked for kind of like a seminar on this emergency preparedness and what we could do to be prepared. And so I am going to bring out I'm gonna bring a couple of my big emergency crates down there, and we'll also have some handouts to give out. And I'm also right now establishing a list, an emergency survival list of stuff that you can purchase on Amazon. So I have that list, and it hopefully it would be an exhaustive list of a lot of things that you can get where you can purchase or not purchase depending on what you want. Hey Monica, I know I realize now is you. Good morning, Zoe. So we're gonna be doing that on Saturday, November the 8th. That's next Saturday from 12 to 2, 4941 Weaver Road at my home church. I already cleared it with Pastor and it's good. And so Lavelle and I are going to be down there. And we just want to share, with you. So make sure you invite somebody. Invite somebody. You guys asked for this, said you wanted it. And so I made it happen yesterday, talked to my pastor, and he was all for it. So we want to get as many people down there as possible so we can talk about how we can be prepared in the event of emergency. Because I'm even thinking about like with which it's not a whole lot they can do with hurricane. What's her name, Emily or whatever her name is that was hitting the Jamaica. Yeah, but it wasn't a whole lot they could really do, but with the exception of just get on out of there. And then ones who decided they wasn't gonna go to just gotta hunker down. But in the event of other type of emergencies, hopefully we can be prepared and be able to do what we need to do to maintain our sanity and our life, preserve life. All right. So
I got a shout out this morning too, bro. This didn't go viral though. Pastor Jamal Bryant, um, I guess kind of like with the stuff that went on with Pastor Winans, I guess he kind of had a wake up call, but he said that they were supposed to be doing some kind of special offering at church or something that they do that the church been doing before he was pastor. And he told the church that we would not be accepting any offerings outside of what you normally give. He said because we're in the wrong climate, things are going on with the government in the shutdown, folks finna lose their SNAP benefits, all this stuff. He said we ain't accepting no extra monies.
bet, bet. All right. Um, parental rights to a child's inheritance. Do they really have any?
Hmm.
That's what we're gonna talk about today. Parental rights to a child's inheritance. Do they really have any? All right. Well, I'm gonna take the comments off. If there's a comment that comes across, we'll put it across. Inheritance rights for children. So what I did is I tried to narrow this down because when you talk about rights and laws and stuff, that stuff differs across states and all that. So what I did is I just narrowed it down to Tennessee. If you live in a different state, you can research whatever law it is for that state that you live in. So this one is exclusively for Tennessee because this is where we live. So we just kind of took the Tennessee. Um, what kind of prompted this was I saw a viral video. It's probably been a couple of years now because we actually talked about this about a year and I don't know, maybe almost a year and a half ago. And the Veil may remember where a young lady approached her mom about money that her dad had passed and had left her money, and her mom took the money and spent the money.
Yep, I remember that.
And and she never really told the girl about the inheritance. She just took the money, and I don't think it was like I mean, it was enough to make a difference. I think it might have been 30, 40, 50,000, something like that. But the mother took the money and spent the money. And I know she had to do some good morning, Miss Loretta. Good morning. Glad to see you guys on YouTube this morning. That's what I'm talking about. Um, she didn't even tell the young lady about the money, and the girl didn't find out the money till she was really grown, like 19, 18, 19, 20. And her mama told her, well, look, I had to do stuff. I had to take her and you. I had to, which is cool. But I think she should have put, in my opinion, she should have put some of the money up for the girl. I mean, because she did, when the dad died, I mean, he was no longer offering any kind of support to her. But that money that he left for her, yeah, she could have probably took a little of it to maybe, to help care for the girl, but she shouldn't have spent all the money.
Mm-hmm.
She spent all the money, and then what I gather from the video, she didn't just spend the money on the girl; she spent it on herself too, because she felt like she deserved some of it too. So, in that instance, do you guys think that if a parent, one of the parents, pass and leaves an inheritance to the child, do you think the other parent has any rights to some of that money as well? And when I say any rights, I'm talking about in terms of them taking money, caring for the kid. Not that they take the money and buy something for themselves, but in terms of like caring for the child. Because I mean, if a parent dies and a child is 2 years old, that one parent still got to care for that child for the next how many ever years they need to care for them. So is it right for them to have to care for that child by themselves, or use some of that inheritance money to help care for them?
Well, I think the parents should be frugal, as it pertains to either put the money in some sort of trust, or put it in some kind of way where the money can accumulate and get better. But just use the money just to say that you got to take care of that child. I get that you're gonna have to take care of the child either way it go, because that's your child. But those extra funds, due to the fact they have been allocated for the child, you need to put them aside. I believe it's just my personal opinion. Like I say, put some to the side. If you use some of it, okay, cool. But at the same time, do something with the money to where it can accumulate some interest or something like that. But just to use all the money as time proceeds, I don't think that's what the money is for. It's an
Okay.
inheritance.
All right.
That's just
Anybody else want to weigh in on that? Because we're gonna see that there's some, depending on how old a child is, that there is, good morning, Miss Paulette, that there is some some stuff that matters. I'm gonna just put it that way. So let's just jump on in here. If the child is an adult, of course, listen to this, and then I researched this. If the child is an adult, good morning. I think if the money is left as a minor, then it automatically goes into a trust. Okay. Thank you, Phyllis, for weighing in. So if the child is an adult, the inheritance belongs solely to the adult child. So the dad that dies, the child is 18, 19, 20, considered adult age. That money goes directly to them. We understand that. The surviving parent has no automatic right to that funds. I get that. Because the kid is basically grown, kind of, parent cannot claim or access the money unless named as a joint beneficiary. Even in that case, as a joint beneficiary, if that child is grown, I would still say, hey, your dad left this money for you, especially if we want to. It's not like we're together. And see, I'm thinking too more like, because it's different if it's a two-parent household, they in the household, they leave that money leave the child as a beneficiary. First of all, as an adult, and a married man, I'm not gonna leave my money, my kids as beneficial to my money if my wife is alive. My wife is gonna get that money, then my wife can disperse that money how she want to, because she's the survivor. Now, if me and my wife pass, then yes, that money, if my kids will get our money. But if my wife precedes me, or is still left behind after I'm no longer here, then my wife is a sole beneficiary, and she can disperse that money to the kids how she want. Joe says smell kind of like arrears to me. Not many children see arrears. Yep. Okay. So now this is the adult child. The adult child, we know the inheritance belongs solely to them. The surviving parent has no automatic right to the funds. The parent cannot claim access to the money unless it's named as a joint beneficiary. So even in the case of a joint beneficiary, me myself, knowing that it wasn't a two-parent household and that was just a parent that lived outside the house, I would still give them the money if I was been. Once they sent me my part of the check, I would give it to the child. And if the child said, "Well, mama or daddy, I think you deserve some of it, and I can I give you some of it," then I leave that up to the child. But I'm not gonna take it from them as an adult. So this is where it get kind of sticky. If the child is a minor under 18, minors cannot directly manage their own inherited money. Right?
Okay.
So the funds must be managed Yeah, I mean, well, that's that's a personal choice. But for me, when I pass, my kids are grown. My kids on their own right now. Now if my kids were still minor, but my wife would still have to care for my kids. So I wouldn't expect for her, you know, and it really just depends on how much money that was left too. I know for us, we're set up. If I'm gone, it's gonna be a nice little piece of change for her, and she can pay bills off and maybe give the kids a little something. Like I told her, I said I don't expect for you to spend not one dime on the kids unless you want to. I told her, I said you're not responsible for them.
Mm.
And that's my person, because my kids in their 30s, almost be 40. So they no. Now my wife wants to do something for them, which I believe she will. That's totally up to her.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife is my beneficiary to those funds, and those funds go to her. And she can manage those funds however she want to.
Mm-hmm.
But the funds for a minor must be managed by adult fiduciary until the age 18 or older. So they should manage those funds until that child reaches the age of 18. Common management options. This is where we talked about the trust. Lavelle mentioned trust. Phyllis mentioned the trust. So that money can go into trust, where it's still that parent still has access to that money, even if it's in a trust, because he or she still has to care for that minor. So they still have access to those funds. Or it could be a court-appointed guardian of the estate. The court can appoint somebody to manage those funds for that child. Or a U2MA, a uniform transfer of a minors act account.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, it could be a UTMA. So if it's and this is what they're saying. We're gonna get into this more, but I think what they're saying, the whole purpose of this is, if the child is a minor under 18 and the one parent is gone on and has left these funds for this child, the system realizes that this child still has to be cared for. So this other parent still has to care for this child. And the deceased parent is no longer in a position to offer financial care on a monthly basis for this child.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see as we get into this that they can use the money to care for this child. So a trust is created in specific if specified in the will. So if in their will they specified to set this money up in a trust, then a trust can be created. A trustee manages funds for the child's benefit. The surviving parent only controls funds if named as the trustee. So that's where it get kind of iffy. So so what if you never really had a relationship outside of you guys having a baby with that parent, and that parent said, I don't trust that other person to be the trustee. So that person may name his or her mama or daddy or sister or brother as the trustee over that account.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I seen it get really ugly sometimes. It be those people that take the money and run off with the money for the child.
Yep.
It don't even be that other parent that you can't stand that would have probably just took care of the child and kept that money for the child. But it normally is those other people that take the money and run off with the money. I've seen instances where even little star actors, little young star actors who made money when they grow up and have to sue their parents and other relatives, whoever was guardian over their money, because they didn't spend their money by the time they get old enough, 18, to get their money.
It's just cruel. It's just cruel, Doc. But
It
I mean,
is.
you see it. It happens.
It happens. It happens. So in the case of a trust is created if the will if it's specified in the will. If you guys do not have wills or do not have your stuff set up in a trust, we're gonna have to have a whole nother class. We did a class on that one time on financial.
Mhm.
But if you guys don't have a trust or at least a will right now, even with a will though, If I leave something in the will, it still can be tied up in probate court.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be tied up for a while in probate because if other family members challenge it, it can be tied up in probate court. But you can't tie up if the money is in a trust, or you have already set up a trust prior to you passing. They can't touch that. That's private.
Mm.
The surviving parent only controls funds if named the trustee, though. Court-appointed guardian of the estate. And this is required if the inheritance exceeds $10,000. Now we're talking about the state of Tennessee, because these are for state of and the laws may change across different states. The court appoints a guardian, often the surviving parent, because they feel like maybe that person has the best interest for the child. So generally, they would appoint the guardian, and it's often the surviving parent. The guardian must file annual reports and spend funds. Here you go, y'all. The guardian must file annual reports and spend funds only for the child's benefit.
Benefits.
So that's in care for the child.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't go out there and take $2,000 and go on a trip. But if that trip, that $2,000 was the portion of the child's portion to pay for that trip to go on the trip, they can use it. But it has to be shown that that was for that child.
Mm-hmm.
Misuse of funds can lead to removal by the court. So the court can actually remove you from the guardianship of that trust or that appointed estate if you misuse those funds. So if that annual report dictates that you are misusing these funds, you can be removed by the court, and somebody else will be appointed. It's crazy. Like I said, for me, even if something had to happen to me when my kids were under the age of 18, my wife was still my beneficiary. My kids are my contingency beneficiaries. That's only in case my wife cannot, is not here. Then, and it's the same for my wife policies. I'm the primary beneficiary, and my kids are contingent beneficiary. And we have wills in place. We have amendments pages added to the wills that give specific directions to my daughter, who is right now is the appointed person over our will. But now we're getting ready to move everything into trust, because we understand that these wills, even though you have a will, can be tied up in probate court if somebody challenges it. Or if they don't challenge, sometimes the court just kind of go through so to keep that, we're getting ready to establish trust accounts, trust, and set everything up in trust, the house, the cars, everything. And once I set up the trust, I'm gonna change all of my beneficiaries on my policies to name the trust as the beneficiary for my policies. And the person who's gonna be over my trust, the executive of my trust, is gonna be my daughter. And from those will instructions, she will be able to. And then we just, with my granddaughter and my grandson now, we need to change that will and stuff anyway to include them in there. Because last time we did that will was maybe 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you really should be doing them every 2 years, like updating your wills every 2 years, because stuff changes. This man said, "Good morning, sorry, late for class."
That man is stupid.
So I hope this is helping somebody. Like, and again, in the case of Phyllis, what she said, her husband left the money exclusively for the children. So, but my thing is, now you're left as a parent to take care of those kids by yourself. And if you were struggling with two of y'all income, and now it's just one income, but he had money left in the policy for them, you ain't gonna use none of that money to help care for them? Yeah, see, I take I got a problem with that. You know, I mean, y'all deal was y'all deal, but for my house, no, I'm not. I wouldn't put that kind of stress on my wife. But that's why I got enough policies to where my wife ain't never got to hit another lick at a snake. And if she want to take it, like I told her, so I told her that I want her to live. I want her to not have to be in a position where she gotta go take a job. I want her to be able to survive. And then if she feels like she want to help the kids out in situations or different little financial situations, then you can, but not just taking giving them lump sums of money. No. And that's just our arrangement. So y'all, you can do how you want to do, but that's ours. And here's the uniform transfers to minor act account. It's used for inheritance under $10,000, under $10,000 to $15,000. So if they got between $10,000 and $15,000 inheritance, that you can use this. The custodian, often the parent, manages funds for the child's needs. The child gains full control at age 21 in Tennessee. But even with this, if you think $10,000 to $15,000, y'all, that ain't no money. If you caring for a minor, that ain't no money. That money probably gonna be something when they get 21, unless they already 17, 18. That ain't no money. I mentioned to my wife last night. I was talking about. I remember this coworker I had, and I ain't gonna say her name. I wouldn't definitely never do that. But her well, it was still her husband. Yeah, they, even though they weren't together and they had not been together for a couple years, I want to say she was kind of dating, and he probably was dating. He was military, or either military or ex-military, and she had 5 or 6 kids by this guy. Well, when they separated, even though they were still married, he never removed her. Thank you, Cheryl. They can't even get them a car. He never removed her as beneficiary from his thing, and so when he passed, she ended up getting like $1.5 million or $2 million of insurance that he had. The woman had to, before the insurance company would even talk to her, even though that was money that was beneficiary, she had to get a financial advisor. So she had to get a financial advisor, and they had to sit down and talk about like the plans, how, so she wouldn't, or either whatever it was, quick class, whatever it was. But I can only imagine, I mean, with 5 or 6 kids, even with $1.5 million, and they were star step, they were young kids, small kids. Even that, man, if you got that, if that's not managed properly, by the time them kids hit 18, that money gone, bro.
Oh yeah.
With that
Way
many
gone.
kids, and you trying to live, and she probably went out, and if she didn't have a house, she probably went out and bought a big house. That took some money because she paid cash. I know for a fact she gave my boss about $15,000 for a sign that they used for the church because she was a member of their church. I know for a fact she did that because I was there when she did it. So that money, and I think about, when I start thinking about these UTMA accounts and all that stuff, even though she was the beneficiary and the money wasn't, I guess a will or nothing wasn't done of how she wanted. And I don't know if she put any money aside for those children or not. I can't tell you that, but I do know with how young those children were at the time, and to care for them till they 18 and pay for schooling and clothes and all that by herself. with no help, yeah, I know she ran through them funds.
And this right here is where integrity really plays a part because my deacon said something some years ago. He said it ain't been invented yet what folks gonna do for money. I don't care if it's your family or not. And
Man,
it's
money brings
crazy
out the
how
worst in folks.
it's
I ain't gonna
crazy
lie
how
to you.
when money come up, man, folks get to acting indifferent and stuff like that. Because my thing is, if you're already working and you know what I'm saying, you know you doing your thing. I know you got an extra burden, so to speak, kind of put on you. But if you got some integrity and you understand what this was for and how this happened, for one, respect the dead. You know what I'm saying? You should. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then two, you know, have some integrity for yourself, and then about you know about the child. But you got some of these folks, they don't care, dog. They gonna splurge and do
Nah,
their
I
thing.
think as long as you're using it for the benefit of the children, I'm okay with it, bro. Like I'm cool. And then if you say, hey, well, especially like in her case where she had 1.5, 2 million, whatever it was, I would have been like, okay, I got 6 kids. Even if I put 75,000 for them a piece in a trust account and just let it build up, you know, I could do that, put that in the account, let that build up, because we can still make it. Because she quit her job instantly. See, I probably at that juncture probably wouldn't have quit my job, but with her, she felt like I got 1.5, 6 foot or whatever it
Technically,
was.
she don't though. I mean, she don't. I mean, based upon the terms of who the money was supposed to be for, correct?
Right. Because I mean, it wasn't left. I mean, she was a beneficiary. So she got the money. It wasn't left for the kids. It was left,
Okay,
she was a beneficiary.
okay.
So, but I'm pretty sure he did that and he had that big amount because they had them kids that she gonna have to take care of these kids. I'm pretty sure it was in the back of his mind
Mm-hmm.
that she gonna have to take care of these kids. But for me, at that point, getting that much, I don't know if I would have quit my job. I probably would have said, let me put this money up for this kid. Let me see what I got left after I get a house or whatever. Put this money up for this kid, what we got. Then I'm probably like, you know what? If I want to maintain this, let me still work my job because I got to keep insurance on the kids. Because if not, now you're paying insurance out your pocket on the kid. So I probably would have kept the job to just keep that. Because like I said, when you got that many kids and 1.5 million, even that sounds like a lot of money. Over a period of time, it ain't.
I know it's money gone,
It,
especially
it
depending on
ain't.
how old the children are.
It depends on how your life set up. It's not. It's not a lot of money. I mean, it is,
Mm-hmm.
but it ain't. Phyllis said, I'm a reader, and I would always think, what if he remarried and got a gold digger and didn't give my children anything? That was one of the reasons we got separate policy for the kids. Did you not see that we were beneficiaries to each other? That was a separate policy for the kids, and they were both adults at the time. Yeah, I mean, we have separate policies. I mean, hopefully everybody got separate policies. I got a policy, but all of my policies, I got several policies on me, and all of my policies, my wife is my beneficiary. Period. Period. Even in the will, it states that my money and everything that I own now belongs to my wife, not my wife and my kids. It's my wife. Now, if my wife wants to divide up whatever she got left to give to the kids, that's totally on her. And me knowing my wife, like I know my wife, she is gonna give the kids something,
Mm-hmm.
but she ain't finna give them the bank.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Zoe said I was 14 years old when I lost my dad, and it was some money left behind for me. My mom used the money for what was best for the both of us.
She has some integrity. There you go.
But he said that both of us, she used it for him and her.
Correct.
Even though I probably wouldn't have used nothing for myself, it'd have been just strictly for the kids. But he was okay with his dad's money being used for him and his mom because she took care of him. He didn't have a problem with that. But in the case of this young lady that I talked about, where her mom, she didn't even know she had even got the money. Her mama just went ham with the money. Right, Rodney. 15K is not enough to live on. It's plenty if a 21-year-old Lavelle wants to be a DJ and use some of his money to buy equipment and a website, etc. At no point can anyone live off that amount, but they can get a jump start if they use it right. If there was no will, so if there is no will in place, period, and that parent or that child is left as a beneficiary, if there's no will, anything in place, I still think that the court is probably going to appoint maybe a guardianship over that money. But Tennessee Code 31-2-104 governs distribution, how that money should be distributed. Surviving spouse, if that person was a surviving spouse, receives 1/3 of the estate or the equal share with the children. The remaining portion divided equally among the children. Parent has no right to the children's share except as court-appointed guardian. So if this parent, if this person had no will and had money, just say not a policy, just say had money in the bank. This person had an account, nobody was on the account, and the person had $150,000. Well, that spouse, that surviving spouse, whether they were separated or not, if she is the surviving spouse, she would receive, the court would appoint her 1/3 of that estate, or whatever his estate is, and then the rest of the money would be an estate would be divided among the children. How many ever children that is. So she gets 1/3. So what if there are 6 children? Probate court decides. Well, this is state of Tennessee code. So state of Tennessee code, and I only looked it up for the state of Tennessee. I didn't look up for any other state. But the state of Tennessee code 31-2104 governs distribution of that money. And based on that, the surviving spouse, if there is a surviving spouse, if there was no spouse, then I imagine all of that money would probably go to the child or the children, split up amongst the children. But if there is a surviving spouse, they will receive 1/3 of the estate or the equal share with the children, depending on how that's set up. The remaining portion divided equally among the children. Parent has no rights to the children's share except a court-appointed court-appointed guardian of that money. Here goes some example scenarios, which I'm glad they used some scenarios in this. So 1, the father leaves $100,000 to a 12-year-old son. Mother becomes a guardian and must use money only for the child's benefit. Child receives full control of whatever is left at age 18. Example 2. Mother dies without a will. Husband receives 1/3. Children share 2/3. Husband cannot use a share for his own personal gain. I don't know why I took that off. Took off the rest of it at the bottom. But the husband, matter of fact, I got it right here. The husband cannot take or control the children's share except as a court-appointed guardian. So they still can't, in that case. That's why I'm telling y'all it's important that you either have a trust set up or a will, or both, will and a trust. Because you don't want the courts trying to decide who gonna divvy up y'all money and all this stuff. Just get a will, man. If you guys don't have a will or don't have access to it, I have access to a will. I have access to a living will, where you when you want to what's the what it called when you don't want to be resuscitated and all that stuff. You can leave all that on record. I got one of those. I got a copy of that. I got a copy of a if you have to be the power of attorney. I got an ironclad power of attorney. I will send you guys copies of that stuff so you will have it. And I don't know if like it was done. I don't know if she has power to turn over her mama, Lavelle, but she needs to.
I want to say she does.
So I have these documents, y'all. If you want that, yeah. That's why I keep saying like the trust, like they can't touch trust. Trust is a private, and they can't touch it. With a will, even with a will, your stuff can still be tied up in probate court, even with a will, because anybody can contest a will. But if your stuff is in a trust, they can't touch it because that's private, so they can't touch it at all. So if you guys, I don't have the information on the trust, but I did just sign up with got the little legal policy with my job this year. So because I want some help setting up all of my stuff in trust. And so I'm gonna go through that whole process to set up everything in trust, because I'm putting my house in the trust, my cars, everything. And once I get it set up, I'm gonna make the trust the beneficiary on all my policies. All right. Let's look at some key takeaways. Surviving parent has no personal right to money left directly to children. That's if it's left directly to children. Parent may serve as fiduciary, but must use funds only for the children's benefit. Tennessee law provides safeguards to protect minors' inheritance. So to answer that question that I put up there earlier, parental rights to a child's inheritance, do they have any? No. That's the child's inheritance, and they can only be a person that either watches over that money and uses it for the benefit of the child till they reach a certain age, or they could be a court-appointed person to watch over those funds, where they have to turn in an annual report that shows how they're using those funds for the benefit of that child. And if there ever any time that it's deemed that they are not using that money right for the benefit of that child, they can be removed as a court-appointed person, and somebody else will be appointed. But I've seen and heard horror stories about how people have, just taken money from kids and just used it, not for the benefit of the child, but for themselves. And that's horrific to even think about. A child being left $150,000, and when they 12, and when they get 18, they ain't got a dime. Come on now. I would have been like, let me take the 100K, put it up, and then I use the 50 to help care for them. Man, 100K when they 12, from 12 to 18, 8 years, you don't touch it. Put a little change, well, depending on what kind of interest rate is attached to it, wherever you got it at. But 100K when they get 18 or 21 will give them a good little start. If they don't take the 100K and be like, I got 100K, let me go get a $80,000 scat pack.
Right.
And I'm hoping that that surviving parent, or whoever that parent is, or guardian, we'll be talking to them and saying, hey, once you get this money, don't you go out there and blow it. You take this money, use it to live so you can get you a job. Don't think this 100,000 gonna sustain you for the next 30, 40 years, because it definitely won't. There ought to be some education going on along with that money.
Right. But the thing about it is, when you have a conversation like this, when you use the term education, a lot of folks don't know anything about this stuff. I even have any clue about it until something occurs or happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because we always, when it comes to death and stuff like that, we kind of avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
So this may something we need to actually add also as well somewhere in the seminars next week after.
But this is stuff that we're constantly trying to bring y'all. This is stuff that people don't think about every day, like in everyday life. And people don't think about this. They sit back and say, half the people don't even have policies on the kids. They self. Man, I got policies on all my kids. I got double policy, 2 policies, 3 policies. I was having a conversation with my brother-in-law last night, and I was just telling them, man, just going through all the different policies I got. Man, I was like, he was like, man, I have policies. Not that I want anything to happen, but if something does happen, I want whoever the beneficiaries is to be good.
I was telling you that
you rather have it and not need it, and the need it and not have it.
I was telling you that Don, old manager, the church that he attended, he said the church members wrote policies for the church. That was my first time ever hearing anything like this. So they said the church didn't never have to worry about anything. You talking about, you got some elderly members that pass, periodically throughout the year, and they leaving 100,000 here, 200,000 here, $150,000 here. It accumulates.
Yeah. But this the thing though. And the church pays those policies. That's the thing. The people sign up for the policies, right? The people sign up for the policies, makes the church the beneficiary. The church pays the policy. So if something happens to the person, the church said, hey, we're gonna take care of it, because the rest of the money is going to the church. They set up for the church. So they can help other people and they be able to pay other policies. Because as an elderly person, do you know how much a policy is?
That's high.
We pay $200 a month for my dad a policy.
Gee whiz.
$200 a month. Well, we pay $600 a quarter, so that's $200 a month.
Because of his age and stuff.
He's 83. Come on now.
Yep.
So a lot of people that age couldn't even afford the policy. So the church said, hey, we're gonna get this $100,000 policy on you. We're gonna pay this $250 a month, whatever it is. We're gonna pay it. Something happens to you, the church is the beneficiary. We're gonna make sure we, because a lot of times the people have their own policies anyway. They still have their own. The family has a policy on the burial.
Right.
So the church just instantly becomes the beneficiary, but they pay for the policy anyway. I don't see nothing wrong with that. They got a policy on you that they paying for. Only way I would have a problem with it if the church got a policy on you and they knocking folk off.
Right.
That's the only way I ain't got to pay for the policy. They paying for the policy.
Right.
I have a problem with that. But you will be amazed how many times that you can reach out to a person or a family member or somebody and say, hey, give me your information. I'm trying to get a shirt. What you want insurance policy on me for?
First thing we're gonna do. Yep.
You ain't paying the policy. I'm paying the policy. So we can bury your dump if something happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that. If somebody called me today and said, Tony, as long as I know they want to try to put a hit on me, Tony, man, bro, I want to put a $300,000 policy on you. You gonna pay it? Because I ain't gonna pay it.
Right.
Yeah. But if that's what they want to do, and they a family member of mine saying they want to, and they gonna pay that $300,000 policy,
Mm-hmm.
do what you want to do. As long as you ain't trying to knock me off.
Right.
Marcus said people don't have policy on themselves. You know, there is no policy set up for the children. I know. That's what I'm saying. They ain't got no policies on the kids. Phyllis said, I worked in the trust department at Regions, and you will be surprised on how many churches and animal shelters are beneficiaries. Yeah, the Humane Society in St. Jude racks up. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that. I bet people
Wow.
of other races got policies set up. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Our Caucasian brothers and sisters have been doing this forever.
It's the new money.
They've been doing this forever.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing it, but we don't believe in that because we rather turn up now than to pay a policy. If I told y'all how much money I paid out monthly and quarterly and just in insurance alone, y'all be like, boy, you stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I easily pay $750 to $1,000 a month just insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
And this ain't including the one I pay for my dad.
Wow.
But for me, it's necessary. And I learned this a long time ago. Y'all done heard me probably tell this story about this old lady at church that came to our church for a Women's Day. And her husband of 50-some years that just passed. And she said, he left me well off. I ain't never got to do nothing ever again if I don't want to. And then she talked about young folk, get some policies. Set your you young husbands, set your wives up. You wives, make sure you got a policy on your husband. But that ain't what I'm saying, Rodney. I ain't even saying it. I'm saying have a policy, period. I ain't telling you to go out there and have $1,000 a month worth of policies. I ain't telling nobody to do that. I said that's what I have because
Right.
I want my wife set up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling nobody to do that. But folks can go and get a basic policy. They can go get a policy. You can go and spend $30, $40 a month on a policy for yourself. And don't tell me you can't because you can't afford it, because that's some bullshit. Because we do everything else we want to do.
Yep.
And I've worked for a company. When I worked for Title Max, I got, man, I can't tell you the number of people came in there trying to get a title loan on their cars to bury somebody. And I'm sitting there saying, you finna get this little 2025, how you gonna bury somebody? Well, it's a start. So even after they didn't put their car up for a title loan and get a 2025, they still got to go find the rest of the money from somewhere else.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many, man, 2-3 times a week somebody was coming in there borrowing money to bury somebody because they didn't have a policy. Thank you, Monica. We prioritize what's important to us. And some people, the turn up is more important to them than getting a policy. I know it sounds like I'm fussing, but yeah, I want us to be good. Cheryl said it's comforting knowing your family is taken care of when you, man, that's me. I want to know that my family is good when I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave my family something other than a bill or some bills. Barry said, Pop said, you have to be responsible for your senior family members. You have to get those policies early. After 85 years of age, the premiums triple. I had policies on my children, on my child and my wife. I guess my wife and probably everybody else. He kind of cut off.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm saying is be prepared. Again, be prepared.
Mhm.
And so I don't want you to look at it and say, "Oh, I need $1,000 to get policy like." No, I am not telling you to be like me. I got an insurance infatuation because I want my family to be good when I'm gone. And my wife has never once told me, "Why you guys getting more insurance?" Never. Because she
Mhm.
understands if something happens, this gonna benefit her and them kids. So, anywho, I hope this has helped y'all today in some shape, form, or fashion. If nothing else,
Mhm.
it encourages you to at least go out there and get a policy if you don't have one.
Right.
Sometimes the mindset is I'll be gone, so I don't care what happens after that. This is a sad mentality. It's absolutely because when you go, somebody gotta bury you or have you cremated, and it costs. It's not free. And
Mhm.
if you're thinking like I don't care what happened, I'll be gone, you a sad person. You a really
Right.
sad individual. Phyllis said, please get policies that are not connected to your job because when the job goes, so does the insurance. Look, I got it. I got policies through my job, but I got way more policies outside of my job than through my I never tell anybody just go get the insurance on your job. No, that job can be gone tomorrow, and that insurance gone too.
Mhm.
It does depend on the type of policy. Some policies you can still pay once you're gone, or like Monica, like she retired, she was able to still keep her policy and pay on it. But most jobs, those still, like you said, when you're gone, those policies end
Mhm.
because they're not collecting premiums from you out of your check no more to pay on those policies. So I still recommend our good friend, our Davia Vincent. We had on once before talking to y'all about insurance. Maybe we need to get her back on if she's well enough. She's been
Mhm.
battling with cancer. But if she will set y'all up. And like the last few policies I got on my children and the grandbabies through her, y'all, the bum.
Mhm.
Yeah. So get the policies, and if you got one, two through your job is cool, but make sure you definitely get one outside there. You got True Stage, Ethos, you got um, you got so many companies out here, SBLI. You got a lot of main companies that have life insurance policies. And if you're gonna get a term life policy, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're gonna get a term life policy, try to get the longest term you can get. Don't go get no 5-year, 10-year term life policy. Because at the end of those 10 years, you're gonna feel like I've been paying on this policy for 10 years, but at the end of those 10 years, that policy is gonna double. And if you
Mhm.
can't afford to pay for it, that 10 years that you just paid on it before is gone. If you can get whole life policies, if you can afford a whole life policy, only thing about whole life policies is generally the face amount is going to be a lot less than a term life. When you get a whole life policy, you might get 30,000. That 30,000 might cost just as much as 150,000 term life. And most of the time, whole life policies add value, or they maintain value. And where term life policies, as soon as you say I ain't paying it no more, whatever you done paid into it is gone.
Mhm.
But if you get a term life policy, cool. Because if you want those big 300, 400, $500,000 term life policies, you can get those. But just try to get the longest term you can get on them. If they offer a 30, 35-year term, the most I've seen is a 30-year term, 25 and 30-year term. I haven't seen one pass that. I imagine it probably is, but I got on my kids, I got 25 and 30 year parent, because by the time they hit those, they'll be 55, 60 years old. So I don't, I might not even be around then. they can keep them going or not at that point. So hopefully this has helped somebody today. The premium goes up. Hopefully this has helped somebody today. Like I said, if nothing else, at least you need to go and get some insurance on yourself or your children or somebody in your family. And you can afford to get it on other family members. I had one on my brother, and then again I had I think it was a 15-year term life that I had been paying on for 15 years. And when it was time to renew, that it was double the amount. And I told the lady, and the lady told me, oh, well, we could just lower the amount. And I'm thinking they was going to continue the policy and lower the amount. They started a whole new policy, and then he passed, and they didn't want to pay out the policy. They only want to give me the premiums that I had paid on the new policy. Right. That's what I'm talking about. You get a term life policy that's going to outlive you. But I can tell you this, most term life policies, when you hit a certain age, it's a wrap. Better look at it. It'll tell you when you hit the age 92 or something like that, you ain't getting no more. It's a wrap. Because you done outlived the policies. And if you don't want to get an insurance policy, do this. Say, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put $50 or $100 in a savings account every month until I can't no more, and then that would be what you use to bury yourself or somebody else, if you don't want to pay into insurance policies. But you got to be saving something or putting something back or something. You got to be doing something.
Right.
Yep. So that's all I have, man. Lavelle.
Good stuff, Doc.
Yeah.
I guess my man come away with the scenario today is just, when it come to us, bro, it's like, I ain't saying, the other folks don't act out, but it just seems like when it come to money, Doc, we switch up on folks. So I would just say have some integrity, man. It'd be crazy how folks be fighting and bickering over stuff, and your folks gone, and like, man, it's so sad, And,
stuff wasn't even yours. Y'all fighting over it wasn't even yours.
So, man, and again, we said we weren't gonna say that no more, but again, it's just the reality of what we're dealing with in our lifetime is that a lot of folks just be having that compensational grief to the point to where they didn't do how they were supposed to do, and like we say, the funeral become the family reunion. So, don't be trying to act, like you love everybody now.
Right. It's different, definitely different. All right, come on, pray out of here, brother.
Let us pray. Most gracious, eternal God, our Father, Lord God, we thank you for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to live while we're here on this earth. And thank you for giving Tony this information and his wisdom to research it, to better for our families, for the life here and the life after. Lord, we just actually continue to touch all of our efforts that we're doing, and actually continue to touch Tony's family, my family, and every family that's represented. Lord God, we ask you to continue to do this for us, and we actually do this in your daughter's son, Jesus' name, and we said amen.
Amen, man. We will see you guys tomorrow, man. Same bat time.
Same bad place.
Same bad place, man. 2 Men in Hats.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
It's the 2 Men in Hats podcast with your hosts with the most, Tony and Lavelle, every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock Dead. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. 2 Men in Hats podcast.